Hello, so today we'll be making a taco ornament, and what you'll receive in your kit is some stuffing, 2 pieces of felt, a ribbon, some thread, a needle, a toothpick, and some glue, and some sequins. So, the first thing I'm going to do is take a piece of thread, and I'm going to cut a piece that I'm comfortable using at once, so probably about 2 feet long, maybe a little shorter. You'll need some scissors. Just going to thread the needle. And I'm pulling it well beyond the needle so that it doesn't come off. So I'm going to just find a part, an edge somewhere, doesn't matter where. Put my needle through close to the edge and pull until you just have a little bit of thread to work with, and tie a double knot. All right, so now I'm going to take my brown piece, lay it on top with the very tip of one of the sides at the same place as I just attached my thread, and just pull the needle through both fabrics towards the edge, and just go from back to front a couple times to secure it. All right, so now, as is maybe obvious, you're going to fold this, and this brown piece will come across, so you just want to keep that in mind. And the stitch you'll be using is called a blanket stitch, so it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Get my needle here. So what I'm going to do is just line up the edges. I'm going to start from the back, put my needle to the front, pull, and then once there's a little loop here, I'm just putting my needle through the loop. And that'll just secure your felts together well. So again, there's a little loop, I pull through the loop. And I'm just going to work on one edge at first, and just making sure that I have both edges together. You just want to be patient. Hopefully you don't have too many knots or anything, but could happen. So just if you see a knot forming, be patient. Either try to get it out or just make sure your thread is secure and start a new thread. It's not a big deal. You should have plenty of thread. How far apart the stitches are kind of depends on what you feel like. You just don't want them so far apart that stuffing is going to start coming out of between the stitches. So mine are probably about a quarter centimeter apart. So they're pretty close together. All right, so I'm just going to continue along this edge until I run out of thread, and then I'll be back. All right, so what I've done is I've just sewed along this edge, and I'm not quite to the end. I've got about 2 inches here, and I've still got a bit of thread, but I don't want to go beyond this point because when I start stuffing, it's going to be harder. So what I'm going to do is tie off the thread here. And if you've never done this, it's basically a lot like this the blanket stitch, but you're going to insert your thread through both and then pull the thread through the loop, except instead of moving forward, you're just staying in the same place. I'm going to do that a couple times. And then I'm going to actually just leave the thread here because I will continue around that edge. But now I'm just going to start off my thread in the same manner as before and come around here, and then I'll meet up with you. So I'm just going to sew again these edges together around until I'm about equal here. All right, so as I said I would, I've stopped here. I'm about equal, and so now I'm going to take some stuffing and just slide it into the very back. Just little pinches, starting to fill it up. You don't want to put too much in because you can always add more later. So it just depends how you want your taco to be shaped. I want mine a little tall, so if I put too much stuffing in, it'll just be short and fat, which is fine too, but I want mine tall, so I'm not going to put too much stuffing in, just enough to keep its form. And now I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing all the way around, and as I go, I might just add stuffing, and definitely before you hit the end, just make sure you have all your stuffing in there because you don't want to go all the way around and then realize you need to add more stuffing. So I'm just going to continue around and then stop when I have just a little hole left open. You can just pick whichever side you want and meet up. You don't have to end at a particular spot. All right, so I've finished stuffing and sewing up my taco, and I've just kind of, I clipped all the ends off of the threads and just kind of squished it up to make sure it's in a good shape for me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a very sharp angle on one side of my ribbon so that there's a very tiny end. And then I'm going to take my needle. This might be a little messy. You might have to try it a couple times. And do you see how it's not really through all the way? But that's okay, it should be fine. I just want it to attach a little bit so that it can get through. Now I'm going to take my taco, try to find the middle, but it doesn't have to be perfect, and I'm pinching it. And then I'm just sending the ribbon through with the needle. All right, and see, it pulled through. So ideally that'll happen. You might have to try a couple times. And then I'm just going to cut off this kind of frayed end. I'm going to make the two sides even. Have them together and then just tie a simple knot. Towards the top, and that's how I'll hang my ornament. So now all that's left to do is I have my toothpick here and some sequins, and I'm just going to try to have them as random as possible, just kind of zigzagging back and forth. You don't have to count them or anything. So I'm using my toothpick here to take some glue and put it on the back of my sequin, and then stick it on the taco. So basically I'm just going to continue sticking sequins on the taco like this, and I'm not paying too much attention to what colors are going on, but I don't want like 3 reds in a row or anything, so I'll just try to keep it as random as possible. All Alright, so I'll check back in when I'm done with this. Alright, so I've glued on all my sequins and my taco is complete. So now you're just ready to hang it on a tree or give it away as a gift.